Good afternoon, everyone. If I look frazzled, because I am, because this is what I look like when I deal with people's stupidity on an endless daily stream. Alright? Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and we're going to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we start going here, folks, the usual rant and then the disclaimers. So once again, I went to Twitter. Why? So, what was I reading on Twitter that makes me want to rant now? This whole concept of Nepo babies, right? I find it highly amusing. All these people who want to sit there and throw mud because, well, your dad is so and so. That's the only reason why you got in the door. Don't pretend that you work hard as everybody else. Da, 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 da. Let me ask you a question. If you had the advantages these kids have at their doorsteps, are you really going to sit there and tell me you wouldn't take advantage of them? Really? Be truthful now. Be truthful with us and with yourselves. If you had the advantages that they have received, are you really going to sit there and tell me that you would not use those advantages? Because if that is what you're trying to say, I got a river in Egypt I can sell you. Okay? Some waterfront property out in the middle of Kansas. See my point, right? You know what this is, folks? It's bitterness and jealousy. Now, am I going to take away from their hard work to get where they are? No. But why are we going to sit there and be bitter against individuals we've never met or ever spoken to because they got advantages and we didn't? There's a thing we like to say out here in Missouri. It's called them's the breaks. Okay? Here's the reality of the world, kids. Some people are kids of wealthy individuals of influence. These parents will use their power and influence as a means and a way to smooth things out for their kids. And you want to know why that is? Because that's what good parents do. If our parents had the same amount of money and power, they would have done the same for us. To go off on hating on a stranger because you feel that their way into things was easier than you, it's just stupid. It's petty as hell. Maybe they didn't have the struggles that you did. Maybe they didn't have to live on a one package of ramen noodle a night kind of food budget. Guess what? I do. I live on that budget. I live paycheck to paycheck. But you know what? I'm not bitter at these other people who got advantages that I didn't. Instead, I use it as a meter to measure out my own success. What does that mean? I will tell you what it means. That means, in spite of not having the advantages that these individuals did, I was able to help in assisting grow a movement like the neurodiversity rights movement. It means, in spite of the fact that I did not grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth, I was able to wheel and deal with some of the most powerful politicians in my state and in my country. It means, in spite of my disadvantage, I have been able to help craft laws, create new job programs, assist in creating autism treatment programs, and even the completion of a school built for people like me. And I did all of that without these advantages. I am not bitter at those who have them. I'm not bitter that they utilized them. And I am seriously not jealous of the level of scrutiny and hate and mudslinging thrown in their general direction just because they were born to a particular set of parents. Who they were born to and what advantages they were born in is not anything they had any control over. Okay? And by the way, insisting that they have it easier than everybody else, no, hon. Just because they don't have your struggle does not mean there are not their own struggles from being someone born with that kind of privilege that we know nothing about. There are pressures on these kids from early goddamn ages, from the media, from paparazzi, from politicians, from the fucking world, when they sit there and demand that they be this or they be that. When you've got an overly famous parent or an overly powerful parent, and you have to find some way, somehow, to carve out your own niche and basically literally claw your way out from underneath their shadow in order to be able to be seen as your own person. Maybe it's not one ramen noodle a night kind of living. But you know what? It does show tenacity. It does show hard work, and it shows one hell of a fucking work ethic. Don't forget the fact that these kids are often compared to their parents and assumed to have the same kind of vices that their parents do. Because I've been seeing that shit since the fucking 90s. Perhaps instead of decrying these kids' advantages, you go out and spend that time you are spending on social media crying about life by going out there and improving your own situation. Maybe instead of picking on complete strangers who you've never met, whose struggles you do not know, you go out there and maybe spend that time going back to college. Maybe you spend that little bit of extra time working on that album you've always wanted to put out. Maybe you put it into spending more time just being a genuine, decent human being. Maybe you use your own wealth and your own influence to help lift up some of the younger generation coming up in the biz. Maybe you help provide for those advantages for other people who are not born into that type of life. Stop complaining. You have no idea how good you actually have it. And you do not know what their struggles are, what they've had to live with, the scrutiny and the microscope they have been under since literally the day they were born. And I don't know it either. Okay? Stop complaining about everybody else because they got something and you didn't. Grow up. All right? I am so tired of this whining and throwing mud on others so that it makes you think that you look more pretty. Done with it. Y'all are acting like a bunch of high school bullies. Again, towards people you never met. Because you're bitter that they got advantages that you didn't. Instead of maybe using that power in order to bring up others who come from a situation like you and helping them out. Just a thought. Alright. In the description box, folks, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It is written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals regards to the JRC's quote-unquote behavioral modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused. So, folks, you know the drill. Please read that article and don't forget to share it on all your social media. We also got the pertinent links to the We also got a link to the NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to the GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC has the balls to see through with their threat. We got the pertinent links to the Agape boarding school situation as well. Agape boarding school is a Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has and pending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against him, substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services that include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and those are just for starters. We have one former staff member arrested by the FBI. We have a doctor who's still on the premises with full access to the boys, up on multiple substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You got one former staff member arrested. Sorry. Yeah, I already went over that. I can't brain today, folks. We've got an attorney general hyped up on I don't even know what. He doesn't even know what he's doing. He loses damn near every single case he gets. How the hell he became our attorney general continues to completely mystify me. And we got a governor hyped up on a power trip. So you know the drill, folks. Please share those articles. Don't forget to share and sign the change.org Shut Agape Boarding School Down petition. We got the pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign as well, including Hoya's massive archive on the subject. Jennifer Masumba's behavioral sheet over shockable offenses. A clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002. The templates and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of it, catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you have young children, please use your headphones. This channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity and talk about dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger, parental supervision is advised. All right, folks, we are about to descend into the mad ravings of a lunatic mind that goes by the name of Dr. Matthew Israel. You're going to hear projection, gaslighting, victim blaming, abuse apologencia, lie after motherfucking lie, and overall ableism enough to circle the world about 3 times. So be prepared for that, all right? Okay, so where we left off before I started my rant, because I'm just done with humanity. You want to know what team I'm on? Team Comet. I am on Team Comet. Come fucking now. We need to end this shit. That's what I vote for. Send the damn comet. Sorry. Most people are not aware that the widespread misconception in the use of psychotropic drugs that there is a chemical imbalance in the brain that is corrected by psychotropic drugs, much like insulin is used for diabetes, has no scientific support and is basically a marketing ploy of drug companies. Are you on crack? That is a lie, folks. That was a blatant lie. That is an actual blatant lie. Matter of fact, even in 2010, this was a provable lie. There has been numerous studies done completely outside of pharmacology that proves the exact point that there are chemical imbalances in the brain that are a part of many mental health issues. To try and sit there and tell me with your whole fucking chest that this is not true. What do you think, doctor? You think you're going to shock the schizophrenia of my uncle? Good luck. I'll attend your funeral when he ends up killing you due to a hallucination. This doctor's dangerous, folks. for the obvious reasons and for what he's implying here. He's basically trying to tell you that all of the science over the last 3 decades that have been put out in numerous peer-reviewed studies is all a lie, and that this chemical imbalance does not exist. It actually does. There's been numerous studies on the subject. And matter of fact, speaking as someone who literally has a sister-in-law who works in this type of field, I can tell you for a motherfucking fact, doctor, that they actually do 100% exist. Okay? I even know the science behind it. She is a scientist. In particular, folks, she has her degrees in biochemicals and bioengineering, as well as a host of other minors. Multiple doctorates. She's an extremely smart woman. So I can tell you from personal and having done my own research, Matthew Israel is lying. But let's move on. Most people are not aware that the medical journals have largely been transformed into what the former editor of the British Medical Journal referred as information laundering operations for drug companies. Oh, really? Is that your excuse for not getting actual peer reviews for your insane pseudoscience, doctor? I want you to see what he's doing here. He's using this as a means and a way to attack the whole medical fucking establishment. He's trying to get you to buy into this paranoia fantasy that only Dr. Israel has your child's best interests at heart. But if you watch 2 seconds of that Andre McCollum's video, you see this for what it is, don't you? He's trying to create a straw man villain so that he can get away scot-free. Well, I see right through you, doctor. And your lies and your insinuation that everybody's just a shill for Big Pharma is a fucking joke. Literal joke. You're talking about peer-reviewed studies coming out of Ivy League schools. Not all of those kids are going into pharmacology, folks. For the reason they cannot be relied upon even by doctors for authoritative information about psychotropic drugs. Oh my God, and this is why you should not trust Dr. Israel about anything that has to do with the drugs your kid takes. Again, we're talking about a man trying to attack a field that he's never been a part of, never studied for, does not have any degree in whatsoever, but his take is the correct one? The delusion here. This is a delusion even beyond the realms of AH, and she's fucking special. If you can beat her on the delusion train, I don't think there's any hope for you. I really don't. This is shocking. It blows my mind. Literally blows my mind that he's going to sit there and tell you with his whole chest to discount the entirety of all other peer-reviewed studies and the doctors and the scientists. He's the only one that can be trusted. And you guys are really going to buy what this guy is selling? This is amazing to me. This doctor is a liar. He actually has no grounds, no education, or no remote understanding at all of the field of psychiatry or pharmacology. He is not a scientist. He is not a psychiatrist. He is none of those things. If I have to choose between listening to my sister, the scientist, and an actual psychiatrist, or listening to this guy, I'm going to go with my sister-in-law, the scientist, and my psychiatrist. The fact that he has the balls to tell you to disregard an entire fucking field because it completely pulls the lie to the entirety of his mad pseudoscience he gets up to. Yeah, takes some balls. I'll give you that, doctor. But it also shows you people that he's completely batshit insane. And I'm going to close out on that. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's now become like a fucking train wreck, and I can't look away. Hey, Paul, you like train wrecks?
Especially when they're full of clowns.
Listen to this. Most people are also not aware medical journals have largely been transformed into what a former editor of the British Medical Journal referred to as information laundering operations for drug companies. For that reason, they cannot be relied upon even by doctors for authoritative information on psychotropic drugs. You believe that?
Nah, I call bullshit on that.
What is that Barbra Streisand song? Send in the clowns. Don't bother, they're here. By the way, I do love that song, too. I even sang it in school when I was a kid. But isn't that kind of a magnificent train wreck? No disregard anything a psychiatrist says or any peer-reviewed studies or any science or data. It's just all a shill for their, drugs. Can I send my sister-in-law against this guy so I can watch her psychologically destroy him with data?
I wonder if he realizes it would actually be illegal for scientific journals to be used in that manner. At least in the United States.
This man does not live in reality, folks, and we are giving him permission to have complete control over children. Just saying. All right, let's go forward with this magnificent train wreck here. Holy hell. This would not be so important if the drug showed effectiveness in treating behavior problems. Again, what the fuck? I will go once again to my schizophrenic uncle, whose medication has allowed him to stay sane for over 30 fucking years. The last lapse this gentleman had was back in the late 90s. After which that was the jumping through the window incident. When he got put on meds, if we want to talk effectiveness, he became a completely different man. He went from someone who thought literally the pooper scooper was chasing him to someone who is aware of who he is, works a full-time job, had a wife before she died, keeps up himself, keeps everything super neat, and again, has done so for over 30 years. You're going to tell me that's not effective in treating behavior? The best understanding is that with respect to adults, psychotropic drugs may improve certain symptoms in the short run, even in the long run for certain individuals. Well, at least you're willing to fucking admit that. However, in the long run, the evidence is most individuals will have a better chance of recovery from mental illness if they never take psychotropic drugs to begin with than if they take them. Doctor, do you want to know what would happen if my uncle never took his antipsychotics? No, in fact, I'm going to bring up a friend of ours. If she was not on nearly every psychotropic drug known to man, there would be a murder spree where the killer would never be caught.
Oh, yeah, she's special.
Okay? You want to talk about drug effectiveness, doctor, and tell us that we would be better off if she never took them? Okay, but at your own risk, doctor. At your own fucking risk. Unfortunately, once the person starts to take certain types of psychotropic drugs, like benzodiazepine, it is often very difficult to stop because of extremely adverse withdrawal effects. Oh, here the fuck we go again. Again, I point you to the fact this is someone who has absolutely no experience, completely zilch, nada, none, in the field of pharmacology. He does not have a degree in psychiatry. In fact, the only degree he had was taken away from him. And I'll draw you back to this point time and again. These individuals that have been in my life, that I know, that have been a part of my family, my friends, if you want to question the effectiveness of these drugs and how it would have been better if they'd never been taken in the first place, I'm on a level with you. And yes, we're going to go to a dark place. Without those drugs, my uncle would have been dead years ago. Without those drugs, there would have been a brand new murder spree. And the killer would have never been caught. Okay? There's another person who's also a mutual friend of ours who was, if she was not on damn near every psychotropic drug known to man, she would have already done something irrevocable to herself or the people around her. Person with a split personality disorder. And you don't want to know that other personality. Okay? This man is not just irresponsible. He should never be let within 5 yards of a snail. Now I'm going to close out. And my God, I don't even know. My brain is just bugging. Holy fuck. We don't get very many reviews on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time, and as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I will see you all tomorrow. Holy fuck balls, I don't even know. I'm gonna need, like, really, really strong kava tea after this. Don't giggle at me, Paul.